Welcome to Blondecards and Crafts. Let's make something together. Hello crafters, today we are going to make this. It's a Dutch door pop open card. This card was inspired by Dawn from Dawn Stamping Thoughts, and I have kind of added on a little to this. Her size card is a 4 1/4 by 5.5 American A2 card. Mine is a 6 by 6 card. So I leave a link to Dawn's video down below. So for our card, I'm going to put the measurements on the screen for you, but I just wanted to show you how this card works. The mechanism of this card opens the top itself when you open the doors. So the doors close and the top folds down. The doors open and the top opens up. You can see here I used products from the latest, to me, Papercraft Society box 34, and that's inspired by the designer Lou Collins. I've used the butterflies in this as well as the stamps and dies from this kit. We also have some stencils, and I've stenciled the butterflies across the top and the bottom. So without further ado, let's make our Dutch fold top opening pop-up. What a mouthful. I think Dutch door pop-up card is what we'll call this. I think Dawn called it something similar. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put all the measurements along here for all our pattern papers and bits and pieces we'll need to make this. I just want to say that if you don't want to have your floating butterflies here on the acetate, then you won't need this panel in here, but I'll go through everything that we will need to make this card. We'll go through it together. So let's go ahead and have a look at what you'll need to make this card. So here we are, we have our base, and this piece measures 8 by 6. We need to score this. So I'll use my stylus for that. We're going to score this at 2 inches on the long end. So 2 inches. And that then will give us our top fold for our Dutch door. So this is what we have so far. Next we need our mechanisms for the sides for our doors. So I have 2 pieces here. I have one already done, you can see here, but our 2 pieces need to be 6.5 by 1 inch wide. What we need to do is score both pieces down the center at 1/2 inch. Then what we need to do is we need to mark up at the top at 1 inch, just on both sides. So I have put 2 little marks either side there at 1 inch down. Now what we want to do is score from the top right hand corner. Let me just move it down so you can see the score lines. From the top right hand corner down to our left here, our left mark. Then we're going to score from the top left hand corner down to the right hand side where we have our little mark. So let's do that now. I have a little track in my scoreboard which helps me to do this. So I'm going to put my stylus at my little mark there, bring my top right hand point up, and I'm going to score right through that. Next we're going to score from the left top down to our little mark. So I'm going to pop that at my score line, and then I'm going to score right up through there. So now we have an X and we have our score line down the middle. Then what we need to do, you can see here I've cut a little piece out. We're going to cut out from our center line down to where our score lines meet in the middle, and then across on this line here. So I'm going to use my scissors to do that. I'll just reach over and get it. So I'm going to cut from my inch mark down on my right hand side right up to the center where our two score lines intersect, and then I'm going to cut up through the middle score line. Now I'm going to turn it around because it'll be easier to do that from this direction. And I'm just going to tidy up my score line. Perfect. So you can see here now, this is our little piece that we have taken away. So now what we need to do is burnish the score lines. And I'm going to use my bone folder to do that. And I want to make sure that this is folded over right down the middle. And then I can burnish that score line. And then we're going to burnish these two score lines here. And this should fold directly across to meet up our little point there that we've cut off. So I'll make sure that that is nice and straight, and I'll burnish that. And then we want to fold and burnish our little triangle there. Lovely. And now I'm going to fold them the other way and just make sure that they fold over nicely. Perfect. So now we have one for the left hand side and one for the right hand side, because we want this cut out piece. This will fit here like so, and it will, this edge here is going to sit right up against our edge here. This piece will fold over, and then our little triangle up here is where we're going to glue, and that's going to stick onto our edge. So when our door opens, this piece will pull up and it'll open our door that we have here. So those are our two mechanisms that we have. Next we want our little doors. So we'll have doors on the side here, so it'll be like a gatefold. Now I have my two doors here. These pieces measure 5.5 by 2.5, and I have two of those, and they're going to sit underneath up against our score line, so they'll go in there. We'll have one there like so, and the other one will sit there like so, and that'll give us our gatefold. Now inside, when we open up our gatefold, I'm going to, you can have that now just so that it opens up, and this part you can stamp your sentiment and whatever, but I want to have it so it looks like there's a top folding card inside. So for that I have this piece. It measures 6.25 by 4.75. I have scored this piece at 1/2 inch the whole way down on the long side. This piece then we will fold over and burnish our edges. So this little tab here on the top is going to sit in underneath our score line here. We'll have our little doors then either side, and then this piece will fold down. So you won't see this until the doors open and the top comes up, but this piece then will pop up like so. So we'll be able to embellish the front part here, and then our sentiment and the message that we write will be in here. So now that's the basis of our card. That is our card base all ready to go. The next thing we want is some mats and layers to decorate this. For our top flap here, I have this piece. And this top flap measures 5.75 by 1.75. Then I also have 2 panels that I have stamped to go inside our doors. So these 2 will go in here like so, and they will be in the inside when our doors are closed, and when they're open then we'll see our panels. So we have 2 of those. For the outside of our doors, for when our doors are closed over, I also have these 2. Now I've used the stencil to do this, but I've done it twice, and I've cut one off for my right hand side door and one for my left hand side door. So this is how the front of our card will look. Okay, so now there's only one other thing that we want. I have taken a piece of the ombre pattern paper and I have cut a square out of this. This piece that I will cut will measure 4 1/4 by 5 1/4, and that's going to sit on front of this piece here. On that piece that I'm going to cut, I'm going to take one of the dies that we got, this die here, and I'm going to die cut out on this piece down here like so. So once I have my piece cut out, I'll pop my butterfly there and I will die cut it out. Once I've that done, I'll take this butterfly, I'll take a piece of this cardstock, and I'll die cut out a second butterfly. Now I just want to show you, when you cut your piece to size and you die cut out your butterfly, this is what you'll have. Your butterfly stays attached to your panel, but the wings will come up, they release. Now I cut my butterfly, it moved when I was die cutting it, so it came very close to the edge. You can see there where it's cut off, but I can still glue this down, I can still use it. The second butterfly that I die cut out, I then just cut a V here and a V here, and it gave me this butterfly. What I did then was I left it in the die. I took some ink that I have and a blending brush, and I went over my butterfly through all the holes, and it gave me that look. Now in order to have it really, you can really see it there if you look, I actually took my stylus while it was in here and I pushed through, so it gave the look of stitching on it, and then it was enhanced by using my blending brush. When I took it out of the die, I then took my blending brush and I went all around the edges of the butterfly wings like so. This piece I'm going to layer on top of this piece, and I'm going to keep a gap between them, so it'll have 2 layers there on that. The lovely body is also one of the dies. You can see it here. I cut this out. What I did was I took my ink and I colored in some cardstock, and then I die cut out the body, and that then gave me this beautiful butterfly. I die cut out this body 2 more times, and I also die cut out this little butterfly. When you die cut out that butterfly, this is what you get. You can see it here, and all the little bits fall out of it. I then took my blending brush and I went all around the edge of my butterfly. You can see there it's darker towards the outside. It's very much like our big butterfly. And then with the extra bodies that I cut, I put that on top. Now I cut off this little piece here where it has its little antenna. I cut that off, and then I set this piece on here like so. And then all I did was I wanted to shorten the body, So I literally just cut around the longer body and made it shorter so it would fit this little butterfly. And then once I had that done, I stuck that down onto the inside there, and that gave me 2 extra little butterflies. These we're going to put onto the front of our panel, but what we're going to do is we're going to put them on some acetate so that they look like they're floating, like so. And then I'm going to stick my acetate on here and then put my pattern paper panel on top. And that then, when this is open, it will look like our little butterflies are floating along. I thought that would be cool. So now, the only thing I've left to show you is from these panels, when we take our stencil and we stencil our edges like so, and we stencil our whole panel. When I have cut these off so that they'll fit my doors, I'm left with the other half. And what I did was I took the other half that I wasn't using and I fussy cut around them. There we go. And I've cut these to size so they're the width of the inside of our card. So that means they measure just shy of 5 inches, a little bit less. They, I suppose you could say they're 4 7/8 of an inch. So I basically just fussy cut around the outside, and then I took my blending brush, you can see it on that one, and I just went around the edge very lightly with some of the ink that's still left on my brush, just like so. And it just helps to highlight this piece once it goes onto the inside of our card. So I have 2, one for the bottom and one for the top. So that's everything now. All we want to do is take our stamp, which is this one, and create our patterned paper. So you can either do that by cutting down your sizes and then stamping on it, or putting a large sheet of cardstock in a stamping platform, take your stamp and then stamp it along. And what I did was I would stamp down, move my cardstock over and stamp again. So we have all our bits and pieces now. Let's go ahead and assemble everything. For this part, I'm going to use my Collal liquid glue. You can use your Cosmic Shimmer glue or whatever glue you prefer. You can use double-sided tape, red liner tape, it's up to yourself. What I like about the Collal glue is when it dries or sets, it dries nice and hard. So it'll give good solidness to our card. Okay, so now we have our mechanism. This one is going to go on the right hand side and this one is going to go on the left hand side, like so. So I'm going to add this one to the right hand side first, and you can see it's the one we have cut apart, this piece here, that we're going to add some glue, and we're going to add it to the back side. So if I turn it over this way, we'll be able to add some glue to this. So I'll just add my glue, and then once I'm happy with the amount of glue I have on that, we can then stick that down onto our panel. And I'm going to line it up. I actually see that didn't cut very well there, so I'm going to cut that with my scissors. Better. So I'm going to add this down now. I'm making sure it's level at the bottom and level at the side. So I'll pop that down into the bottom corner and then bring it up there like so. So you can see there it's actually longer than the score line, but that's okay.
I don't know that one.
But that's okay because we're going to fold this over. So I've just taken that little piece there and I'm folding it over on the score line. You can see there we have like an arrow shape and we have this little triangle at the corner. I want to add some liquid glue to that. But first of all, before I do that, I'm going to add my left hand side. That way then once both sides are glued down, I can do my corners, fold over the flap and leave that to set. So again, this is how our piece is going to sit inside our card. This side here, the part where we have cut, this is where we're going to put adhesive, but we're going to put adhesive on the back side. So I'm going to flip that over and add some liquid glue to the back of this. And like I said, you can use double-sided tape if you like. You could use a tape runner, whatever you think yourself, just as long as it's going to be good and strong. So I have my glue on there now. Again, I'm going to line it up to the bottom and the side, making sure it's nicely in the corner. Perfect. And again, we'll fold this piece over and that'll show us our little triangles on both corners. Now for the little triangles, I'm going to again use my Collal glue. Put a little on each. And it's the smaller triangle, not the bigger one, that we want to glue down. So I'm going to fold this over and I'm going to press down on that. And I have some little pegs. These are for knitting. And I'm going to pop them on there like so. And I'm going to put one in the other corner. Pop that down. Actually, I might use these ones. So there's my two corners now. I'm going to allow that glue to set. So I'm going to give that a few minutes. And while that is setting, I'm going to add my pattern paper to my panels and to my doors. Okay, so I have that done now. I want to glue these to the inside. So I'll take off my little pegs and I will very gently lift these out. And you can see there when this comes up, it should open up on the fold line. So I'm just very carefully burnishing those score lines so our little doors will open as they're supposed to. But I'm being very gentle with them. Lovely. So I'll leave it just like that for now so that I can glue in our little doors here. And they are going to glue down. They'll be at the bottom here. They'll match up. And to the side where our score line is. So that's how our little doors will sit in there. So I'm going to put a little bit of glue now on this little tab. And again, I'm going to use my Collal glue. And I'm not bringing the glue, you can see there that score line. I'm not bringing the glue up past that, I'm staying below that. Lovely. And I'll add that in here. And allow this panel now to stick on to our mechanism piece. Once that's stuck in, then go and work on the other side. And you'll see here, I don't give it a chance to glue, but I would recommend that once that other panel is dry, then come in and put your glue onto this side to our little tab all along here. So from the bottom there, right up to just before the score line up here, you want to add your liquid adhesive or your double-sided tape. Then we'll add this panel in to our door. And then once we have it lined up with the bottom, we can then close the door over. So do that with both doors. That way this won't happen to you. See, I didn't leave it, but I was trying to record it for the video. So once you have each panel stuck in place, you won't have this problem that I have. but it's not an issue because I'm just going to pop them in here, line them up with the little tabs there on the side, add a little pressure, and then close them over. And then again, I will allow this time for the glue to set, and then I can move on to the next part. So again, I'll just add my little pegs to the corners there, and we'll give those a minute to set. Now, while those are setting, I'm going to give them a little minute to set down, and then we'll be able to add these two on top like so. So I'll leave those for a minute, and I'm going to now work on my little panel and our piece that goes inside. So this piece, I have my little tab here folded down. This piece will sit on top of that, and it'll give us a nice little border like so. And then we're going to stick this on top, and I want to put a sentiment here, and my sentiment here, I'm going to use the birthday wishes and butterfly kisses. I'm going to put that out there. Recently, these were on special with Clusty Crafts in Ireland for $5.50, so I picked up 10 of them. I just find sometimes when I use ink, it doesn't give a very good stamping, but I do like the VersaFine ink. It always stamps really well, so I thought I would get these and see how well they stamp. So let's have a look and see. And we'll just add a little bit of pressure, and that's stamped pretty well. Just add another. Lovely. I love that. For first stamping, I think it did brilliantly. I'm going to ink it up a second time. And that way I'll get a nice dark color. Perfect. I love that. Brilliant. So now I want to add my panels, my pattern paper onto our card base. So I have my strip here. I'm going to add that to the top. So I have two panels now that measure 2.5 by 5.5, and I've cut them just shy of 2.5 and just shy of 5.5 so that they'll fit on our doors like so. So I'm going to glue them down now, and I'm going to use my Collal glue. I think in hindsight, making this card, because I kind of made a prototype but I didn't decorate it, so I know that Dawn puts the white panel doors that we have attached to our mechanism, she puts them on the way I have. But I think if we actually stuck them onto the front, then we wouldn't have to put the purple panels down, because you wouldn't see the joining of it. And I think if it was in the inside, you wouldn't really notice with the pattern paper on top of it as much as what you would you know, with it being on the outside. Now I have these two strips. I'm going to add them to either side, just here on the right, and the other one will go on the left, and I think it'll pull then the color of the purple matte layer under our butterflies there together. So I'm going to add this 1/2 inch strip here to the right hand side, and then I can add the other 1/2 inch strip then to the left hand side. So I think that's nice. And I think as that stands, that would be perfect. Stamp a sentiment inside the door there, and I think that would make for a great card. You don't have to add the next piece in that I'm going to do. So next I'm going to add my panel to the inside, and I have put some double-sided tape on this. I have my double-sided tape here. This is the same as red liner tape. It's just by a different brand, so it's got a blue release paper on the top. So I'm going to, I've taken the release paper off that and I'm going to sit it in here. Now I was a bit nervous that I would put it in wonky. So I've taken my liquid glue and this will just allow me a little bit of movement before the actual adhesive catches. So I've popped that in there and you can see it doesn't fit right to the bottom. There's about a 1/4 of an inch gap from the bottom of that. It just, it makes it easier, I think, for people to lift that up. So I'm putting in my 2 extra pieces that I had from when I did my stenciling and I cut out my panel. And I'm just going to glue this down, and I love the way this is fussy cut out. It adds, I think, dimension. I could have just taken the stencil to this part and stenciled the images straight onto it, and you can do that if you wish to do that, but I do like how this gives a little bit of dimension with it glued into place like so. I will stamp a birthday sentiment in there, but I'll do that later. The next thing I want to work on is my little free floating butterflies, and I'm using a piece of acetate here. I didn't give measurements for that because I figured you could use as long and as wide a piece as you wanted, and that is if you want to add these onto it. I do like it. I think it looks cute. Will I do it again on another one? I don't think so. I think the card really doesn't need these butterflies, but it does look really cool. So I'm adding a large piece of red liner tape onto the back of my acetate. I recommend you don't do that. Just put enough to hold your acetate on the back there. I end up covering the back there with a panel in order to hide the acetate on the back flap. So I think less is more. So once you have your piece of acetate attached inside, then add a little bit of double-sided tape to the body of your butterflies and then stick that down onto your acetate. It's always best to use double-sided tape rather than liquid adhesive when gluing onto acetate because sometimes they can just pop off. I'm just trimming the excess acetate away from the bottom there around my butterflies, and that'll tidy that bottom edge up nicely. So there we have our card now with our little butterflies, and when you open it up, and then we have our place to write our message inside, and we can stamp a sentiment in here, a happy birthday sentiment, and then our card can just close like so, and we have our little butterflies. So I'll just curve my acetate around so it has memory of where we want it to sit, and there we go. That's how it looks when it is set open. Looks very cool. And then we can close our doors and the top closes down. Fabulous. So I'm just going to finish now by stamping a sentiment inside, and I have a lovely sentiment by Christina Griffiths that I'm going to use. This is the stamp set that I'm going to use. This is the Butterfly Trails Versus A5 stamp set, and I'm going to use Hope Your Day is Filled with Extra Icing. And you can see there's a butterfly wishes and birthday wishes and butterfly kisses on this one as well. There's just fluttering by to say hi, which is lovely as well. May all your wishes come true. Actually, I like that one. May all your wishes come true. I think I shall use that one. So I'm going to put this on a stamping block. I'm going to again use my VersaFine Air Clear ink. And because this is the first time using it, I'm going to stamp it off. Lovely. I'm going to add that to the inside here. Perfect. So I've also used the Push Me, Pull Me A5 stamp set by Made to Surprise. And the reason for this is I wanted the lift sentiment there. So you can see here when this is open, you can see the lift down here. So the person knows to lift this up. And our card then sits like so. And it really sits nicely. The butterflies are nice, they're propped up, but yeah, this is how it sits. You know, it sits open itself. And I'll put pictures at the end there so you can see how it looks when it's stood, you know, on a mantelpiece or whatever. I just love this. I think it's really cool. I think with these little doors, you know, that open and close like so, I think it's very clever. So thanks to Dawn for inspiring this 6x6 card. If I can leave it like that so you can it's hard for you to actually see, but I wish you could see it from this view. It really does look lovely. The only thing I think I would have made my little acetate here a little bit thinner, or used a lighter acetate so this hangs down, but I do like how it looks, you know, they look like they're floating. It's really cool. So it's up to you. You can take from this or leave from it what you like, but yeah, I'm very pleased with this this card. I do like it. My butterfly wings there are curling out, so they're catching on the door. So now that should work better. So there we go now. That's our 6x6 Dutch door pop open card with our inside hidden message and our butterflies all aflutter around it. I just thought I'd finish up with a better view of the card and how it looks. And when we open the doors, bam, our big butterfly is there. And then when you close them, closes down nicely. And we have our lovely hidden sentiment underneath our panel with the lift. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you did, I hope you'll give it a thumbs up. If you're a subscriber, thanks for subscribing. And if not, you might consider hitting the subscribe button down below. Don't forget to ding the bell. That way you'll be notified each time I post a new video. And it doesn't cost you anything, and it just lets the little YouTube algorithm know that you like my videos. So that's it. I'm going to say goodbye. Thank you to Louise for her lovely Papercraft Society box 34. Watch this space. I have another card coming using the products inside this box. So until then, thanks for watching.